Hi, my name is Don Araldi, and I'm the Executive Vice President of Sales here at Pipeliner. And I'm going to spend the next few minutes giving you a quick overview of our product that's meant to focus on just some key differentiators so that you get a sense and feel of why Pipeliner is growing so immensely in popularity around the world. Welcome to Pipeliner. You can see right from our opening screen, the navigator page, that everything we do is very visual in nature. We do this to engage with our users, and they do engage, and we avoid the biggest problem that most CRMs have, which is adoption rate amongst their users. Pipeliner is actually fun to use. So here on the navigator page, I'm giving you a dashboard look very quickly when you start to understand what's happening in your sales pipeline. For example, in the month of February here, I can see my quota and what my pipeline has for February to help me to try to reach that quota. Down below, I get notifications that tell me if I have things that are overdue that I need to pay attention to and remedy. I can also see if I have new leads waiting for me to qualify, or if maybe I've taken too long and those leads are getting old. Over here on the far right, my calendar giving me all of my tasks and appointments that are coming up. And that's just where we start our day in Pipeliner. But let's go to the opportunities page here, and this is where we really get into the meat and potatoes of Pipeliner. You can see here on this screen that what I've done is taken all of your opportunities for the month of February and shown you where they sit in your sales pipeline. What stage are they in? So you understand what's actually likely and close to closing in your pipeline, and what's just at the beginning stages of your pipeline. And we always display for you over here your forecast. Now, one of the things that differentiates Pipeliner from all other tools is our visualization. This is just one of those visualizations that our customers engage with. But we know that not everybody likes to work with data the same way. While I may find the screen very useful for me, somebody else may prefer a different view. And so at Pipeliner, we give you 5 different ways to look at this same data, and you can choose which one works best for you. Some people like the list view, which is just a very straightforward, almost like working off of a spreadsheet. And some people prefer that. Some people prefer looking at a map view, which takes all of their opportunities and shows them geographically where they are located, again, by stage of the pipeline. The key here is that you have the choice of how you want to interface with your data. It's all the same data, but each different view provides you with some different insights into what's happening in your pipeline. Now, in a much longer presentation, I would go into the details of what those differences are and the opportunities that are provided by each of those views. For now, though, this is just a quick overview. From there, what I want to talk about is the fact that not only can you customize Pipeliner so that the stages of the pipeline align with what your pipeline currently looks like, but when I'm working on a deal, I actually in Pipeliner can see whether or not I'm following my sales process, right? So we want you to be able to see your entire sales process mapped out into Pipeliner, and we do that right here. You can see if I click on number 1, that's our first stage of our pipeline, qualify. And I'm telling my sales reps what they need to do in order to complete that first stage. And when they get to the next stage, here's a list of tasks they need to complete. And so it's a nice guide for the sales reps to make sure they're following my sales process throughout the pipeline. And it gives me as a manager a very quick overview visually to see if we're following the process or if we skipped a bunch of steps. Very important in being able to manage my team, manage the fact that we're adhering to our sales process to deliver the best results and the biggest bang for our buck when it comes to closing deals each month. Now from there, what I want to do is show you a few other things that we do differently than other people or that other people don't do. For example, in this opportunity at Citi, you can see we have this feature, the Buying Center. And in the Buying Center, I can map out all the players, right? Who are the people that I'm working with at Citi that are involved in this deal? And I can add anybody else I need to this map, but I get to describe who they are and what their roles are. For example, you can see Julia here is listed as the decision maker and the internal champion, whereas Evan is the budget holder and an influencer. So this helps my team to understand who we are working with, who we need to focus on to try to get a deal closed. And it's a very helpful part of getting a team together to conquer an opportunity and close a deal. Now we do other things just like that you just aren't going to find in other CRM tools. For example, I'm looking at accounts now, and I'm going to quickly jump to the Pipeliner account because I have some data in here that I want to show you. So here, just like the buying center, you can see that I can open up the org chart. And in the org chart, I'm laying out the hierarchy of the company. And you just aren't going to find this as a visual solution in other CRMs. Notice that I can, at any one of these locations of Pipeliner, quickly open up the org chart and see who all the people are in that organization. Maybe as I'm looking at the hierarchy, I realize that I'm selling to just one of the locations, but there are 4 other locations I could be selling to. Or maybe rather than selling to a subsidiary or branch, I should be focusing on the headquarters. All of this is functionality that you just don't find built into other CRMs. You'd be buying additional third-party applications to add into your CRM to try to get to this level of functionality. Now from here, what I want to do is give you another key differentiator for Pipeliner. And to do that, I'm going to go back to our opportunities page, and I want to talk to you about reporting. Because reporting and building custom reports can be very difficult in a number of CRMs. At Pipeliner, from the very foundation of our product, we designed everything to be very easy to do. So no full-time system administrator needed to manage your implementation. Let me give you an example. We're looking at a pipeline report right now. It may not look like one because it's not what you're used to seeing in the way of a report. But anytime I have data on the screen, I can simply ask for a new report. And we'll just call this our sample report. And Pipeliner is going to take all the data that's on the screen right now, and it's going to build a report for me automatically. Now this is a very simple report that's just taking the data fields that were present and giving you what looks to be a report on all of those opportunities with a total and an average. But watch how easily I can turn this into a really useful report. I do that by opening up what we call the Power Panel. And in View, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to group this report by owner. That's what we call the salesperson on a deal. And you can see that very quickly the system now has separated that report by sales rep. So I get totals and averages for each person on my team. That's a lot more useful for me when I'm trying to see how my team is doing. I can also add a graph just at the click of a button. And now you can see that that graph with data labels is ready for me with all the underlying information in the report. I'm going to take this a little bit further in this presentation. I can choose my columns. The computer chose the columns for me, or I should say Pipeliner chose them for you, based on the screen you are on. But you can eliminate some fields that are on that report if you want to. It's entirely up to you. Maybe you don't need these particular fields. And maybe you want to add some fields, like maybe it's a commission report for my salespeople. And while I'm at it, I'd like to take a look at what my margin is on those deals. So I'm going to add that. I can drag these fields around to where I want them on the report, save that. And now I have my report showing me how my sales reps are doing. And you can see after opportunity value, I've added a commission column and a net margin here on each deal. So you can see here this rep has sold 200,000, but 184,000 in net profit to me or to the company. Doing that for the entire team. And that's how simple it is to customize reports and get what you want out of Pipeliner. Now from there, now that we've seen how you can customize a report, let's talk about customizing the platform itself. And again, I'm going to show you how simple it is. And the example I'm going to use is right here. Here's a pipeline, a sales pipeline with 5 steps in it. And then you're in the closed area. So how do we change this, and how easy is it to customize anything in Pipeliner so that it works the way you want it to? Let's say that you wanted to eliminate one of these stages. You only have 4 in your sales pipeline, and you wanted to rename some of these. Well, all you have to do is go into the administration package, and in administration, say you want to edit your pipeline. We were looking at the direct sales pipeline, and you can see it shows you those 5 stages right here. If I wanted to eliminate one of those, let's say it's the value proposition stage, I can just hit remove. And now I'm down to 4 stages. You want to change the name of one of those? Fine. Maybe you don't call your first stage qualify. We click on edit, and you can change the name. It's very simple, right? So modifying and making changes in Pipeliner is very simple. I'm going to give you one more example because everything's click and drag here. If I wanted to customize a form, maybe I wanted to add a field or change the order in which fields appear on the screen. I'm going to change my opportunities screen now, and I'm going to change it for my direct sales pipeline. And you'll see that it simply presents the form as it appears on screen for you. If there's a field you don't want, you can simply come here and delete it from the form. If there's another field that you'd like to have on the screen, you can just drag it over and place it wherever you want it to be on the form. It's that simple. And if you need a new field that doesn't exist yet, you can just create a new one and then drag it into the form. That's simple to do any customization. No matter in which category we're looking at here, it's all drag and drop like you just saw. Let's go back to the application then. I think it's also important for you to know for your sales reps, there's a very important functionality that I think Pipeliner does better than anybody else, and it's email integration. And so I'm going to show you very quickly how that works. For example, on this deal at Citi, if I wanted to contact Citi, here's my main contact. You can see his email address right here, and I can simply say create a new email. I can type that email in, or if this is a standard piece of email that we send out on a regular basis to our customers, maybe I have a template that's ready to go. That template can be simple text, it can be HTML, and it's ready to send. But not only does it send, it logs that as a completed task, and I can say, yeah, but I also want you to create a follow-up for me so I remember to call them in 3 days. And all of that happens automatically, okay? Now I just showed you how to do that with one person, but I could also go into my contacts and see a list of contacts, and I could select any group of people, right? I'll just select a few here, and now I can say I want to create a mass email. And now it's going to do the same thing, but do a mail merge for all of the people that I've selected. So it's a great tool for sending out emails to my clients when I'm working through my prospects, my opportunities, my leads. It works very well. Now on top of that, we're fully integrated with both Gmail and Microsoft Outlook. So I want to show you what that looks like. So right here on the screen on the far right, you can see that I have my Pipeliner CRM add-in for Microsoft Outlook. And it's a really great feature because what it's doing is it's looking at the email you selected, and now Pipeliner is looking that up and telling you, we don't know who this is. This person with this email is not in the Pipeliner database. So what would you like to do with this person? Well, imagine that this email might be from somebody who's writing to us saying, hey, I'd like to schedule a demo. Well, for me, that would be a new lead that I might want to add into Pipeliner. And so I can do that right from here. I don't have to jump back and forth between Pipeliner and Outlook. I can add a new lead, opportunity, account, etc. right from here. Now that's what happens when you get an email from somebody you don't know. So let's take a look at how that differs when I'm looking at an email from somebody that I do know. So I'm going to pull up an existing customer of mine, and you'll see that Pipeliner is looking him up, and it's going to return back to me and say, oh, you mean Bob Dowd, CEO of North America for MoneyCorp. And by the way, here's all his contact information and address. And further, I can see I have one deal open with Bob right now for $15,600. I've won 14 deals with him in the past. I've never lost a deal with Bob. And because it recognizes Bob as somebody who's in my database, any email he sends to me and any email I send to him will automatically be copied into Pipeliner as part of his file. So you can always see the complete email exchange. Now, this sort of integration into Outlook works for email, for calendar, for contacts, and for tasks. So that's our email integration. Okay, I've talked a lot about Pipeliner, but there's so much more that we can talk about, but time limits my ability here to show you everything. But let's just talk about a few things. Pipeliner excels compared to any other CRM in our visualization, the graphic nature in which we present data to the user, the flexibility that we provide to the user to decide how they want to view their data. This is what eliminates a lack of adoption by your sales teams, and that's critically important because without adoption, you're not going to have good data in your system, which means the reports, the forecasting, everything else that you rely on from your CRM will be less than helpful. Okay? We need adoption rate by people, and that's why we present CRM the way that we do. And it's not just here on the opportunity screen. If I go to my activities screen, you can see I can see activities in a list form, I can see it in a calendar view, and I can see it in a task board view. And so depending on how I want to view my data, I always have choices. What's the easiest way for me to work with my data? And that's a key differentiator. Total cost of ownership is another key differentiator. Why? Because not only are we a great bargain in the world of CRM, for a enterprise level CRM product, our solution is priced much lower than others, and yet they can't match our feature set. But most importantly, you saw how easy it was to customize Pipeliner. And what that means is you do not need a full-time employee who serves as your system administrator. Believe me, with many other enterprise level CRMs, that will be a necessity. And depending on what you pay somebody an annual salary, you can add that cost to the license price of those systems. You will never have that issue with us because it's such an easy platform to learn and master. Now, there's so much more that we'd like to show you, so much more that we can really entice you with, like automation, which is probably one of our newest key differentiators, the ability to automate sales processes so that the CRM system can, in effect, do many of the menial tasks that you're asking your salespeople to do today. And by automating those processes, we know they're happening, we know how quickly they're happening, we know when the follow-up is happening without having to rely on somebody else on my team to remember to do it on time, and to stick to our process. So that automation is really key, and we'd love to show you more about that. But to do that, we'd really need you to schedule some additional time where we can really dive down into all the great features that Pipeliner has to offer. Believe me, I've been managing sales teams for 38 years, and I've used most of the CRM tools that are on the market, and there's nothing quite like Pipeliner anywhere else in the world. Do yourself a favor, take the time to schedule an in-depth presentation of our product, and let's see what Pipeliner can do to help you and your sales team. Thank you for your time, and I hope you found this useful.